Earlier this week, on Monday, Instagram announced that it is expanding its TV ambitions. The company is testing long form episodic content, live programming, and all kinds of new viewing experiences. And all of it is specifically designed for your TV screen. For example, when you open the app, you will see channels organized around topics and creators that you already follow. Comedy, sports, specific people that you watch. You can cast reels directly from your phone to your TV, browse your saved content on the big screen, and now watch stories too, not just reels. The app is also testing a dedicated section for horizontal videos because, as we know, the vertical phone content does not always translate well to a living room screen. Now, at first, this looks like another social media company trying to break into streaming. Instagram would not be the first, and it probably will not be the last. But if you zoom out, the announcement fits into a much larger, longer story. If you remember, back in 2020, Instagram launched Reels, quick videos as a direct response to TikTok. The format was limited to just 15 seconds, and the appeal was obvious: endless discovery and constant novelty. Since then, though, Instagram has been moving in the opposite direction. What I mean is, 15 seconds became 30, 30 became 60, and then 90 seconds. And then, earlier this year, Instagram extended Reels to 3 minutes. This was after creators complained that the format had become too restrictive. So this month, Meta began testing Series, which is a feature that lets creators organize content into episodes. And now the company wants more of that content on television screens. Now, the thing is, none of these decisions happened in isolation. If you look at them together, they point towards a platform that keeps giving creators more time. But this raises a surprisingly simple question. If short form video was supposed to be the future, why does Instagram keep making it longer? Remember IGTV? Instagram already tried this back in 2018 and killed it within 3 years. So, what's different this time? Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host Snigdha Sharma, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Rachel Varghese and I will come to you with one business story that's worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Thursday, the 25th of June. The creator pressure argument is the one that Instagram offers publicly. Every time the platform imposed a length limit, creators pushed back against it. In January this year, Instagram's head Adam Mosseri announced that Reels would expand to 3 minutes, saying that creators had consistently told the platform that 90 seconds was too restrictive. But creator feedback is only a part of the answer. The other part is money, and it is a more complicated story. When Reels launched in August 2020, it generated no revenue at all. By mid 2022, it had crossed a $1 billion annual revenue run rate, but it was simultaneously costing Meta more than $500 million every quarter. The reason was straightforward. Short videos were pulling users away from Instagram's main feed, where ads had always been more profitable. On Meta's Q4 2022 earnings call, Zuckerberg put it quite plainly. The monetization efficiency of Reels, he said, was much less than the feed. The more Reels grew, the more Meta actually lost. Now, wait a second. Don't you think that's quite a remarkable thing for the chief executive of a company to say publicly about one of its fastest growing products? Well, as it turns out, Zuckerberg was actually also signaling something. Meta was absorbing the loss deliberately, betting that it could close the gap over time. The mechanism it bet on was AI. Meta poured investment into recommendation systems. the algorithms that decide which reels to show each user. The logic was that better recommendations would mean longer watch times, and longer watch times would mean more ad impressions. As an analyst from Neuberger Berman told CNBC earlier this year, every signal that a user generates, what they watch, pause, or skip, makes the recommendation engine sharper, and that improvement shows up directly in Reels revenue. The bet paid off, but not in a way that most people assume. Individual reel ads still generate less revenue per ad than Instagram's main feed, and that gap has not been fully closed. What changed instead was volume. As Reels consumed more and more of the time that users were spending on Instagram, accounting for nearly half of all the time spent on the app in the US in 2025, the sheer number of ad impressions began to outweigh the lower rate per ad. By the third quarter of 2025, Zuckerberg announced on Meta's earning call that Reels had crossed a $50 billion annual revenue run rate across Instagram and Facebook. To put that in context, YouTube's total advertising revenue for the same period would annualize to roughly $41 billion. And this is precisely what IGTV never had. When Instagram shut down the standalone app in March 2022, it also removed the in stream video ads entirely because there was no ad product robust enough to sustain long form content. The monetization infrastructure simply did not exist. And what exists now, 3 years later, is a $50 billion revenue engine built on AI recommendations, advertiser demand, and scale. That is what is different this time. But here is the tension that has not really gone away. Individual reels are still less profitable than feed ads. Every minute that a user spends watching a short video is still worth less to Meta than a minute spent scrolling the feed, which means longer videos change that equation. Serialized content watched on a TV changes it even further. Which is why Instagram's push into our living rooms is not just about competing with Netflix or other streaming platforms. More on this in the next segment. The timing of Instagram's TV push is not coincidental. In May 2025, streaming surpassed broadcast and cable combined for the first time in Nielsen's history. It captured nearly 45% of total US TV viewing, and by December, that figure had climbed to 47.5%, which is the highest share ever recorded. You see, the living room has become the fastest growing screen for video consumption, and Instagram launched its TV app in December 2025 directly into this window. The revenue logic follows from everything that I told you earlier. Television advertising has always commanded higher rates than mobile. And the logic is simple. A viewer watching a shared screen in a living room for 20 minutes with a show that they chose to return to is worth significantly more to an advertiser than a viewer who watched a 15-second reel on a commute. Which is why Instagram is going after serialized content. It builds returning audiences, the kind that advertisers pay a premium to reach. But there's still another harder question, and it is content. Instagram is not a studio. It does not have a content library, but what it has is creators. And the question of whether those creators can make the transition to episodic storytelling is one Instagram is actively working through. Instagram's VP of Product, Tessa Leons, told The Hollywood Reporter this week that the platform has noticed creators already building serialized formats on Instagram and publishing longer versions elsewhere. She was also direct about the production question. Production houses will have a role in building this content, she said, but Instagram believes that its own creators can move into the format too, starting with microdramas and stories broken into episodes of 1 to 3 minutes each. That is a meaningful acknowledgement. Instagram is not betting only on its creator base. It is signaling openness to professional content producers entering the platform, which is precisely what IGTV never did. IGTV waited for creators to figure out long form content on their own with no monetization infrastructure and no product support. The infrastructure now exists, but the question is whether the content will follow, which is ultimately the wager that Instagram is making. That the next generation of serialized content will come from creators, not just streaming platforms. And when it does, Instagram wants to be the screen that it lives on.